Hi, I'm Jeff Van West for Aviation Consumer and AvWeb, and we're shooting this from my office because I'm going to give my old David Clark 13.4 a little bit of an upgrade. It's going to get an ANR unit from Headsets Inc., and we'll show you about how easy or not this thing is to install. The kit comes with good instructions and a lot of useful tips born out of experience through many people installing the system. There are even some really clear wiring diagrams to help you out along the way. The actual packs containing the materials are easily labeled so you can find them. And there's a kit that comes complete with solder, bits of wire, shrink wrap, tape, and all the odds and ends you might need. Some of the optional items are the separate battery box and the AMP cable, which puts the microphone, headset, and power cable all together in one unit, and it makes putting together the system a little easier. Step one's pretty easy. You get to tear apart your old headset, removing the old gel seals and whatever covers there were over the speakers inside the headset. There are two screws that hold the speaker in place. You'll have to get in there with your screwdriver and take those out. They tell you to test to make sure if the headset module will fit, but if you've got a name brand headset, somebody's probably tried this before, and if they sold it to you, it probably does fit. I'm told it's kind of a tight fit in these David Clark 13.4s. One thing that is important, though, is that all the ANR modules have a left and a right. That means you need to decide which side of the headset is going to be left or right, and if you were used to being able to flip the boom either way in the past, that's not going to work anymore. So what we did was we just decided and then made a mark on the outside so we could always keep track. Installation instructions do skip a step or two, such as telling you you have to cut the old crossover cable that goes from one side of the headset to the other, as well as cut the old headset jack cables. What we did was we cut them off with as much extra cable as we could, figuring we could trim them off later. Getting the wires of the AMP cable through was actually pretty easy once you get them all stuck in there. However, once you get the cable inside, you need to secure it with a piece of tie wrap so that it can't be pulled back out. One thing they don't tell you is how much wire you need to leave behind. We found we could put the tie wrap pretty close to the end, and we still had plenty to work with. Getting the crossover cable across the headset and into the two ear cups was something else entirely, but we managed it in the end. The most confusing part is when it comes to splicing all these wires. You've got the wires coming from the AMP cable if you're using it, the wires coming from the crossover cable from the other side of the headset, and then you've got all your original wires. We found keeping the original wires still somewhat attached helped out a lot because we could cut out and isolate the ones we wanted and then solder them to the ones that they belong to. The written instructions aren't entirely clear about the wiring, although they do pretty well. Conveniently, the colored instructions do great. If you just connect the right colors to the right places, it all goes fine. Just be sure you know which way you're connecting. My old David Clark was a mono headset. Just because I have a stereo plug on the new cable doesn't mean my headset can take it. It only has one mono volume control, so I'm still stuck with mono. Work your way through the different wires a couple at a time, and it all works out pretty well. A little tip for the wise, the voice of experience. Don't forget to put on the little piece of shrink wrap before you connect the wires. Otherwise, it's really tough to get it on after. Of course, not all the colors match up, and there are multiple versions of some colors. I just connected the wrong green wire to one of the volume control posts. That's all right, I'll disconnect it. Of course, that is the part that the instructions refer to as extra fragile. Figures. But if you're careful enough, eventually you'll have the whole wiring set to go, and the last step will be connecting the ANR. And now the really nerve-wracking part, actually attaching them to the modules. These are the things you just paid $169 for. Now here's your chance to really screw them up. Trying, of course, to only solder them to their correct connection and not the connection right next to it. The next step is some double stick tape that goes on the module, and then gently working the cables and the ANR unit back into the ear cup. Getting all those wires tucked inside, pretty easy on the right ear cup, a little tougher on the left. Headsets Inc. recommends having some kind of spreader to help keep the ear cups apart. We didn't need it during the wiring, but boy is it helpful during this step. Come on, get in there. Last step's putting it back together, putting in the foam pads and putting on your ear seals, and then testing it. I happen to have a portable intercom here.
Now we'll test the headset, volume control and all. Well, that actually seems to work pretty well. The last test, the ANR.
Oh, now that's nice. If you want to find out more about Headsets Inc., you can check out their website, www.headsetsinc.com, or you can check out the August issue of Aviation Consumer Magazine. I'm Jeff Van West for Aviation Consumer and AvWeb. Thanks for watching and listening. Amazing. It works.